Hello everybody, and before we start this review in earnest, there's something you need to know about Painkiller Black. This game has a minigun grenade launcher. Let me just repeat that, in case you missed it. A minigun grenade launcher. If the mere sound of that phrase doesn't make you want to buy this game, then I'm sorry, I don't want to be seen associating with you. Or, if you're lame and still undecided about buying Painkiller, let me just go through the rest of the game and see if I can't convince you to. Painkiller Black is actually two games packaged into one, sort of. There's the original base game, Painkiller, and its expansion, Battle Out of Hell, which almost has enough content to be considered a game of its own. Painkiller Black Edition is a retro-style-ish FPS, with a very strong focus on gameplay as opposed to plot. That doesn't mean there isn't any plot, though. Oh, no. For what little it's worth, here's the paper-thin excuse to fight demons that Painkiller uses as its plot. You play as Daniel something or other who's trying to do something like avenge his sister and fight hell for whatever reason. Yeah, I skipped the intro cutscene and wasn't really paying attention. And I am not alone in not paying attention to the plot of Painkiller. Literally nobody cares at all. There are like 5 cutscenes that are all about 3 minutes long in which the entire plot of Painkiller takes place. And Battle Out of Hell is just as bad in terms of plot. There are 2 cutscenes for about 4 to 5 hours worth of gameplay. No one cares about the plot, developers included. The only enjoyment you can derive from Painkiller's plot is ironic enjoyment. This game is hilarious. Overall, Painkiller's plot is easily ignored if you don't care, and easily enjoyed if you don't take it too seriously. Moving on to the gameplay, which, as you might be able to tell from the footage, is nice as hell. Shootouts, which are the bread and butter of any respectable FPS, are interesting all the way through to the end, helped in no small part by Daniel's movement system. B-hopping is Daniel's main movement option and the only acceptable way to move around in Painkiller, since Daniel walks with all the speed of a quadruple amputee, while the B-hops break the sound barrier. But it's not just the movement system that makes Painkiller's combat dope. See, Painkiller understands that just mindlessly pitting you against the same enemies in the same environment won't engage the player. Painkiller changes the environment mid-shootout, so you have to make snap decisions on the fly about where to go and who to shoot. Well, obviously the answer to who to shoot is everyone, but I mean what particular order. It makes each shootout feel unique and each level feel dynamic. In addition to interesting levels, Painkiller also provides as many enemy types as anyone could ever want. Each level's got its own unique enemies to ensure that you'll never run out of interesting new things to shoot. Seriously though, the enemy diversity is genuinely staggering. There are over 50 distinct types of enemies throughout Painkiller and its expansion. That's nothing short of impressive. And the best part of all this is that the enemy diversity isn't even all. What are cool enemies if the weapons you use on them aren't equally cool? Even the default melee weapon you start out with is dope. Like, just look at it go, it looks like a blender on frickin' steroids. The rest of the weapons are so ridiculous and fun to play around with. You got a shotgun that freezes people solid, an electro shuriken launcher, a flamethrower SMG, the aforementioned minigun grenade launcher. The fun just doesn't stop with this game. And going back to the levels for a bit, they are just as diverse as the weapons are. The levels aren't, like, realistic per se, or sensibly designed, but they are very fun to traverse. And I mean, if you're looking for realism, well, maybe don't play the game where you fight demons with a crossbow that shoots exploding bouncy balls, and probably don't question why the orphanage is in the middle of the toxic swamp. I can personally put aside that the levels are a bit nonsensical, but I do have a meaningful criticism about the otherwise incredible levels. The secrets. Some of them are a little lackluster. Like, when you found them, they made you think, wow, that was really a secret? And others are just so ridiculously well hidden that I don't see how you could have found them without a guide. I wish Painkiller had done what Dusk and other games have tried to do and found a happy medium between no one will ever find this and the secret literally just being right around a corner. But frankly, the meh secrets are an incredibly small blemish on Painkiller's level design and is generally insignificant to how much Painkiller's levels get really, really right. My first playthrough of Leningrad, quite possibly my favorite level in any video game ever, was akin to a religious experience. Something else worth mentioning is that Painkiller features something that the vast majority of FPSs nowadays don't. Actual boss fights. Like with a health bar and you having to actually fight the boss, as opposed to shooting the glowing thing 3 times. Sure, some of Painkiller's boss fights are a bit gimmicky or too easy, but the vast majority of them are pretty awesome. Like, bruh, you can kill Lucifer, the devil himself. How metal is that? Don't answer that. It was rhetorical. That's pretty goddamn metal. Speaking of pretty goddamn metal, the soundtrack. It's really good. Each track fits perfectly with all the levels, and since the levels are incredibly diverse, so are all the music tracks. Especially the Orphanage music track. Yeah, sorry, that's all I got. My mind just sort of blanks out when I get to the soundtrack section. Alright, one last thing I forgot to mention. There's also a power-up system where you collect tarot cards by completing lame challenges, and each tarot card unlocks a certain ability that you can equip for some gold. I'm only mentioning this as an afterthought because, well, it is an afterthought. Look, the formula for retro-style first-person shooters like Painkillers are shoot the thing until it dies, repeat until the credits roll. I don't need bullet time or collectibles or twice as much gold found or whatever. It just gets in the way of the actual fun parts of Painkiller. That's just my opinion though. For what little it's worth, the tarot card system does work pretty well, generally. It's fine. The power-ups are fine. They just never felt necessary when the core gameplay loop is already so dang good without them. Like, there are even power-ups during just normal gameplay outside of the tarot card system. Why not have a slow motion power-up or a take reduced damage power-up? It just feels unnecessary. Anyways, that should about cover it for Painkiller Black. This is Utica7 signing off. See you next time. Wait, what? What are you still doing here? I went over most of the major aspects of Painkiller Black. Why aren't you buying it yet? Or not buying it yet, if that's your choice. Ahaha, I get it. You need a review score to tell you how good this game actually is. Wink, wink. Well, don't worry. I gotcha. Let me just plug Painkiller Black Edition into the Fun Factorinator and voila. I give Painkiller Black a think for yourself out of stop depending on an arbitrary number at the end of some idiot's opinion to tell you if a game is good. Go buy it if it sounds cool and you have the money. Painkiller Black is not that expensive and it goes on sale like all the time. Alright, that's the end of the review. For real this time. No fake outs. Promise. Alright, signing off. See you next time.